So I know we were talking about backcourts and we were talking about fit. And I saw this last night, and when I tell you, I was like, man, like I'm surprised more people aren't talking about this. So this was actually an article from hoopshype.com, and they were talking about a free agent not named Tobias Harris, talking about Klay Thompson. Okay.
Yeah.
And as we know, Klay Thompson, four-time NBA champion, has seen his role kind of diminish this year because he's been playing more off the bench for Steve Kerr and he's done fairly well. And in this article, and I'm going to put this quote on the screen and we could react to it later. So this is what this NBA executive said. He said, if you're Detroit, wouldn't you love that? A level of maturity and experience. Monty Williams wants it grown up. So an NBA executive was talking about if the Warriors let Klay Thompson walk in free agency. And I'm looking and I'm like, Klay Thompson would be a really good fit on this team. Well, obviously, he's not the defender he was, 5-6 years ago. We know that. We understand that. But my question to you is, with the lack of, I would say, star power in this free agency class, would you put an offer sheet in for Klay Thompson to make the Golden State Warriors sweat? I guess the market is around 20 to 25 million per year.
The first answer, and this is the complete bias NBA fan in me, would say no, because I want Klay, Steph, and Draymond to play together forever. I understand it's been ugly, and I understand why Klay would want to leave, and it's a tough situation. But I grew up on, even though I hated them at first, I ended up revering the Spurs, even though like that championship still don't sit right with me. But I grew a respect for seeing a group of guys stay together for so long. And that was just such a cool thing in basketball, because we don't see that in this era. I'm all for star movement. It's cool. It's entertaining. It gives us a lot of shit to talk about, so I enjoy it. But I ultimately, it's a balance. Like, if you have those teams like the Warriors, like the Spurs, and you have the player movement, I think that's best for the NBA. So the fan of me would say that no. But looking at it from a Pistons perspective, if I'm just trying to better this team, I would go other avenues before Klay Thompson. Personally, I wouldn't totally wipe that off the board, because from what I've seen of Klay, it's been up and down, and again, the maturity. But you got to factor in the stage of Klay that you're getting him, not just in terms of production, but in terms of mentality. Klay's a professional. I have no doubt that he's going to go out there and he's going to try to ball. But Klay's been very frustrated with his role because he thinks he's still the player that he was. And the aging star is a very hard thing to deal with in the NBA. It's the hardest thing. So getting a guy like that, I'm not too excited about. I would explore other avenues because, yes, do we need the shooting? Absolutely. Do I think he would really help Cade and Ivy's development when he's playing with them? Yes. But if he's going to come into this like, hey, I know Cade's a good player, but I can shoot all I want. Like, if he comes in like Bojan, right, where it's like, okay, relax a little. You know what I mean? Like, Bojan started bringing the ball up, chucking up threes, and if that's the version of Klay we're getting, I'm not necessarily geeked about that for the Pistons perspective. So I would explore other avenues. The free agent class, like you said, not great, but I would explore the trade market to try to get some of these guys that could be out there that are, to me, fit the Pistons better in a lot of ways. But I wouldn't totally close the door on it.
I think it's interesting because when I look at this quote, and I'm going to put it on the screen again just for people to see it. It's cool that, executives believe that the Magic and Detroit could be two teams to monitor, but I'm looking at Monty Williams wants it grown up. Yeah. And the reason why I want people to focus on that is for the past 4 years during this rebuild, we've seen so many Pistons fans like, hey, let's go take a flyer on a young guy. I
Yep.
think that's over. I don't
Yes.
think you're going to have any more of these project players, no more of these reclamation projects that were high lottery picks. Monty Williams wants vets on this team. And I like Klay Thompson. I think he would be a good mentor for this team. But my only fear would be is if you were to pay him the asking price, because if you look at the Golden State Warriors cap projections, they're in cap space out. They're going to have to move somebody, whether that's Chris Paul, whether that's Andrew Wiggins, so they can re-sign Klay. They're not going to have the money to offer what probably Klay Thompson wants, because currently Klay's like on a $30-40 million contract right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like a 20 to 25 million a new contract would actually be like a team discount for the Warriors because they're in such cap space hell. But I would probably pass on Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
Because I can see fans saying like, oh, you're going after a guy that's a little bit older, like kind of gives me like Charlie V vibes where, you know, he can shoot, but like he's not the same player he used to be. And I think Trutella like said it perfectly about Monty. It would give him another excuse not to play Ivy next to Cade Cunningham.
Yes.
And I 100% agree with that. I really do.
Point.
Like, if you were going to sign Klay Thompson, he's kind of that prototypical two guard. That's that movement shooter that we were talking about that we want Ivy to become. Klay is already that. I think for the Pistons standpoint, they would really have to break the bank for Klay to even consider joining. They'd probably have to pay upwards anywhere from, like, just my opinion, I think 26 to 30 easily.
Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe even 28. Like
really high for them to use, and that would be a majority of their cap space just to sign an older two guard that isn't the defender he used to be. But I really want Pistons fans to really hyper focus on that Monty Williams wants a grown up, because I think that's the route that this team is going to go. I think they go like this free agency, Chris. I think it's just going to be nothing but vets. It's going to be nothing but guys that are anywhere between like 27 to like maybe 34. I think those are the type of players that the Pistons are going to target, whether that is in free agency, whether you want to use your cap space in trades. I think they're done with the 20-year-old project players because they just haven't panned out really. I mean, you can go down the list of every reclamation project that Troy Weaver has tried to save here in Detroit. They've all failed miserably.
Yes, I agree, because Cade, Asar, Ivy, Duran, Stu, Sasser. These are all guys. Stu's the only one that exceeded his rookie contract, and he would still, in some sense, I would be looked at as a prospect, even though he completed his rookie contract. He's young enough. Like, you have enough young pieces to develop. Now, I get that you're always kind of looking for that, you know, that diamond in the rough, and that does a lot for a franchise, but you have enough prospects to develop. At some point, if you have too many prospects, it's very hard to develop them all. And that's what makes OKC so impressive, that they've been able to just like take a whole team of prospects and make it work. But you see Miami has prospects, but then they mix it in with Jimmy, with, you know, vets. Like it's very hard to get a team full of prospects to work. And after the season that the Pistons had this season, like, there's just, fans are not going to put up with, you know, any type of, you know, there was people talking themselves into trading for Zach LaVine because they just wanted like 7 more wins. That's where Pistons fans are at. That's where management feels the heat right now. So yes, I agree with you. They're done with projects. They're going to yes, use their cap space via trade or free agency and get a whole bunch of vets in this room and really just kind of end that era of reclamation projects and really just focus on in-house. You have enough prospects to develop, and you have quite a nice collection of prospects, in my opinion, to develop. So now surround them with pieces, figure out what you got. And Monty wants grown-ups, and I think Troy does too. It's just, I don't know if they want the same grown-ups. That's where my question lies. I think they both want grown-ups, but I don't know if they want the same ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you have 4 people at the table and you all can't agree on the player that you want. But I do agree with you. I think that not only Monty, but I think this fan base is starving for a winner. The fact that, like, when they beat the Nets, just the vibes, like, I think Pistons fans, they want to win basketball games, and I think they deserve it. They've been through absolute shit these past 4 years. Like, I don't even think they've won 82 games in the past 4 years, and that's absolutely insane to me. That's just like when Adam Silver came to Detroit, I thought Troy was getting the boot personally, but I guess it was just to talk to season ticket holders, and he basically told Pistons fans to be more patient. Which it's just like, man, get out of here with that mess.